224. What command do you use to disable CDP on the serial interface? A. Disable CDP. B. CDP disable. C. No disable CDP. D. No CDP enable. Answer. D. No CDP enable. To disable CDP on an interface, you need to navigate to that interface and use the No CDP enable command. 225. You would like to alter the frequency at which CDP sends out advertisements to every 90 seconds. What command would you use? A. R1 hashtag CDP timer 90. B. R1 config hashtag CDP 90. C. R1 hashtag CDP 90. D. R1 config hashtag CDP timer 90. Answer. D. R1 config hashtag CDP timer 90. To alter the frequency at which CDP sends out advertisement messages, you would use the CDP timer command at the global configuration prompt. 226. Your manager is concerned that hackers can discover information about the network via CDP and asks you to disable CDP on your router. What command would you use? A. Disable CDP. B. No CDP run. C. No CDP enable. D. No disable CDP. Answer. B. No CDP run. To disable CDP on the router and not just on an interface, use the No CDP run command. 227. You have telnetted into a switch on the network from your router and now wish to suspend your telnet session. How do you do this? A. Suspend. B. Pause. C. Ctrl-Shift-6, then X. D. Ctrl-Alt-Del. Answer. C. Ctrl-Shift-6, then X. You can temporarily suspend a telnet session with the Ctrl-Shift-6, then X keystroke. 228. Which of the following iOS commands is used to connect to VTY ports on a Cisco device? A. Telnet. B. Login. C. CDP. D. Connect. E. Resume. Answer. A. Telnet. You use the telnet command to be able to remotely connect to another device and administer it. When you use the telnet command, you are connecting to the telnet ports on the target device, which are also known as the VTY ports. 229. What port does telnet use? A. TCP23. B. UDP23. C. TCP21. D. UDP21. E. TCP25. F. TCP22. Answer. A. TCP23. Telnet is an application layer protocol you can use for remote administration of your Cisco devices. Telnet uses TCP port 23. Keep in mind that Telnet is an unsecure protocol and transfers all information in clear text. 230. Which of the following secure protocols should be used instead of Telnet for remote administration of the Cisco device? A. HTTPS. B. VPN. C. IPsec. D. SSH. Answer. DSSH. SSH is the secure protocol replacement to Telnet and is used to encrypt the communication between your administration system and the Cisco device you are remotely connecting to. SSH can be used to encrypt all communication, including authentication traffic. 231. What port does SSH use? A. TCP23. B. UDP23. C. TCP21. D. UDP21. E. TCP25. F. TCP22. Answer. F. TCP22. SSH is the Secure Replacement Protocol for Telnet and uses TCP port 22. 232. Which of the following represent characteristics of Telnet with Cisco devices? Select 2. A. Traffic is encrypted. B. Traffic is unencrypted. C. No longer supported on Cisco devices. D. Should be used instead of SSH. E. Requires configuration on the destination device. Answer. B. Traffic is unencrypted. E. Requires configuration on the destination device. Telnet transfers information in clear text including authentication traffic. By default, you cannot telnet into a device until you configure an IP address and passwords on the telnet ports, VTY ports. 233. Your network has been up and running for a few months. 2 days ago, Bob, the network administrator, assigned an IP address to the switch. Why would an IP address be assigned to the switch? A. For remote management. B. To allow the switch to forward traffic based on Layer 3 address. C. To allow the switch to forward traffic based on Layer 2 address. D. To allow devices connected to the switch to communicate. Answer. A. For remote management. Switches do not need IP addresses assigned in order to allow hosts connected to the switch to communicate. The only reason to assign an IP address to a switch is to be able to telnet into the switch at a later time for remote administration purposes. 234. You have suspended a telnet session and wish to reconnect to that session again. What command do you use? A. Reconnect. B. Resume. C. Reconnect. D. Resume. Answer. B. Resume. In order to resume a suspended telnet session, you use the resume command and specify the device ID as a parameter. 235. What command do you use to determine if you have any suspended telnet sessions? A. Show sessions. B. Show users. C. Show suspensions. D. Show suspended users. Answer. A. Show sessions. The Show Sessions command displays a list of suspended telnet sessions. 236. Your manager would like you to monitor who is remotely connected to the router via telnet. What command would you use? A. Show sessions. B. Show suspensions. C. Show users. D. Show suspended users. Answer. C. Show users. In order to view who is connected to your Cisco device, you can use the Show Users command. It will display any connections, including console connections and remote connection to the device through the VTY ports. 237. You are having trouble telnetting into one of your Boston switches from the New York office. You have no problem telnetting into the switch when you are in the Boston office. What is most likely the solution? A. Enable routing on the switch. B. Configure a static route on the router in New York. C. Configure a default gateway on the switch. D. Configure a default gateway on the New York router. Answer. C. Configure a default gateway on the switch. In order to remotely manage a switch from a different network, you must have the default gateway setting configured on the switch. A great indication that the default gateway is the problem is that you can telnet into the switch when on the same network. If you were not able to telnet to any of the Boston switches, then it may have been a problem with the New York router. 239. What command displays the hostname table on a router? A. Show IP hosts. B. Show IP names. C. Show names. D. Show hosts. Answer. D. Show hosts. You can use the Show Hosts command to display the contents of the hostname table. 241. You have decided to remove the entry for the Boston router from your hostname table. What command would you use? A. NYR1 config hashtag no IP host boss R1. B. NYR1 hashtag no IP host boss R1. C. NYR1 hashtag no host boss R1. D. NYR1 config hashtag no host boss R1. Answer. A. NYR1 config hashtag no IP host boss R1. From global configuration, you can use the no IP host boss R1 command to remove the entry from the hostname table. 244. When administering your Cisco router, it tries to do a DNS query every time you have a typo in a command. How can you disable this? A. IP domain lookup. B. No IP domain lookup. C. No hosts lookup. D. Hosts lookup disabled. Answer. B. No IP domain lookup. You can disable domain lookups to stop the router from querying DNS every time you type at the console. You should only do this if you are not using DNS to resolve addresses when doing administration. 245. You have configured your router for a name server, but you still find that names are not being resolved. What command would you execute? A. IP domain lookup. B. No IP domain lookup. C. IP routing. D. IP name server lookup. Answer. A. IP domain lookup. If you have configured your router for a name server, you may have to enable domain lookups if the administrator has disabled domain lookup. Use the IP domain lookup command from global configuration to enable domain lookups. 247. Clients are no longer receiving IP addresses from the DHCP server running on your Cisco router. You suspect the DHCP service may have been shut down. How can you start it? A. Start DHCP. B. Net start DHCP. C. IP start DHCP. D. Service DHCP. Answer. D. Service DHCP. In order to start the DHCP service, you can use the Service DHCP command in global configuration. 248. You have configured the DHCP service on your router as a backup DHCP service. You wish to stop the DHCP service so that addresses are not being handed out till you need the service. What command would you use to stop the service? A. No DHCP. B. No service DHCP. C. No DHCP service. D. No services DHCP. Answer. B. No service DHCP. In order to stop the DHCP service, you can use the No Service DHCP command from Global Configuration Mode. 250. You are monitoring DHCP usage on your router. What command would you use to see how many DHCP-related messages the router has received? A. Show DHCP. B. Show IP DHCP server statistics. C. Show DHCP statistics. D. Show IP DHCP. Answer. B. Show IP DHCP server statistics. In order to view statistics on your server, you use the Show IP DHCP server statistics command. 251. You are administering the DHCP service on your Cisco router and would like to look at the DHCP leases. What command would you use? A. Show IP DHCP leases. B. Show DHCP. C. Show IP DHCP binding. D. Show DHCP leases. Answer. C. Show IP DHCP binding. In order to view the addresses that your DHCP has assigned to clients on the network, you use the Show IP DHCP binding command. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.